The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Good morning. We're starting a series here at the County Library. It's called Patriot Flight Honors Veterans. And very thankful for the library to allow us this time. It's a series that will continue hopefully for months, maybe will grow into years. With me here today is a veteran, but probably more known more recently is our County Executive, Dan McCoy. And we hope to sit here and learn more about the multiple hats he has. And we will have a nice conversation amongst ourselves. Dan?
Frank, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is a great opportunity that Patriot Flight just not offers to Albany County, but to the capital region and beyond the capital region, because you guys don't discriminate. It doesn't matter. As long as you're a veteran, you honor them with a flight down to D.C. And I think it's great that the opportunity you give World War II veterans, especially, because a lot of viewers don't realize 16 million people went off to war for World War II. Think about that number, and they're not around this much anymore, and we want to honor them while they're living to go see this great memorial that was erected for them in our capital.
Tell me, one of the things we're looking to do here is to recognize veterans. Veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam. You're a veteran of the more recent. Tell me something about yourself.
This nation's never called on its citizen soldiers more in these last 13 years, and especially the National Guard and Reserve. There always is that joke, you did 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, and now it's turned into mobilizations, multiple mobilizations for a lot of people in the National Guard. So one of the hats I wear in the Guard is I do preventive medicine specialist. Basically, I go out to, armories and stuff like that, and I train soldiers on, OSHA 1910, that type of stuff. But what I've been doing quietly for the last 5 years is that we have a yellow ribbon program, and right now it's run by retired Sergeant Major John Wilsey. And what we do is we integrate soldiers and families that are mobilizing to go over to war and coming back home, and work with the family throughout that whole time frame. And I was just down in Binghamton because we have a large contingency of National Guard soldiers getting ready to deploy in October. So we met with the families, we told them what their entitlements are, here's numbers you can contact for daycare if you're running into problems with employment, insurance, whatever it may be, or you're just having a hard time adjusting because dad or mom has left and you're a single parent. And in a lot of cases in the National Guard, they are single parents. So the kids are with grandparents, or they're with their sister, their brother, or a friend of theirs. So there's issues there that we work with them. So there's a lot that goes into that program.
I deal an awful lot with World War II vets. We all wear multiple hats. You've been in active service since how long? How long have you been in service?
I've been over, I just hit 25 years of service.
25 years. What did you go in when you were 15?
I did. I feel like I did. Okay. But yeah, I have 25 years of service and still counting. I just re-up for another 6 years, and I think my wife wants to kill me.
Well, we got something in common about wives, because
yes.
I consume a lot of time. Over the few years, I will say, Honor Flight has been around since 2007. The founder was Bill Peake. He had a vision. When he started in 2007, there were 2 hubs in New York State, and it's grown. More so with you, though, what I'm interested in, and I will talk more about Patriot Flight, but I'd like to know, today you're in a group that's all volunteers. What is that? Tell me about the person who volunteers. You volunteer.
I've said to everyone, once a month in Albany County, we honor a deceased veteran. We do it the first Monday of every month. It started in 1993 with one of my predecessors, Mike Hoblock, and then Congressman Mike McNulty, who flies a flag over the Capitol. And now the tradition's gone on with Paul Tonko. And we've kept this thing on since 1993. and we basically honor veterans. But the great thing, and I always say this, I go, you put this uniform on, you didn't do it for the paycheck, you're not doing it for the medals, you're not doing it for the pats on the back, you're doing it because you want to serve your country. And a lot of people don't get that, and especially I've noticed, like with a lot of World War II vets, their DD-214s, which basically says this is where they served, this might have been the combat they were in, or this is what their tour was. A lot of them didn't have, because you got to remember, 60 million people, you're discharged, and probably 12 million at the end of the war. So no one cared if their campaign medal was on their DD Form 214. No one cared that it said this is where they fought. What they cared about was they're coming home back to their loved ones. And and a lot of times now we're straightening out their records. No, wait a minute. They served in the Pacific. We know they saw combat. Why isn't it on their DD Form 214? But they didn't care. You just want to come home. You serve because you love this country and you love your family, and you want to give people a unique opportunity. And this is the thing I say that's best about this nation, that we have the best nation in the world because the freedoms that we have from veterans.
You resonate through some parts of my heart, and the part of us being a great country. And just recently I was talking to a World War II vet, and I said to him, "Did you ever hear of an American refugee? There is no such thing. We put on such a great country, and thanks to them." I always say that they went off as kids, come back as men. I happen to know a veteran was 15 years old, went in the service, started off in the Merchant Marines. And you're absolutely right. We've got to do everything we can for veterans.
The problem that has had after World War II, because everyone felt that war. You had rations, you had the war bonds going on. So it was a unique era, and it was the greatest generation. And then we moved into Korea, and they called it a police action. Then we moved into Vietnam, and it was the same thing. And then you moved into later wars. Vietnam and really kind of got overlooked, especially with helping veterans readjust back home. And I said that, I go, we need to be that crutch for the veterans, and we need to give them these services now that they're home. They willingly signed onto the dotted line to give up their life to protect this country's freedoms that we enjoy. Now we have to be there for them. And one of the things, the interesting things, I love doing polling. And there's a poll that's going to come out, and that 80% of upstate New Yorkers don't think government is doing enough for their veterans. Think about that. That's one of the highest numbers that have ever come out. Over 80% say government is not giving enough money back to their veterans, and they're not taking care of them, because we have more and more veterans coming home, and we have all these great services. And if you look at the Albany County Veterans Bureau, we do a lot, from helping people with claims, from hearing, from disabilities, or the veteran gets sick and they come in and they say, well, hey, I got cancer, or I got this. We may be able to tie that into where they were stationed, to where they had duty, and there might be other ones. So there might be benefits there for them. And we also help them start their own business. If they want to get out, we'll be that extra crutch, help them do a business plan. We'll help them, hey, look, these are the banks that will loan money to veterans. So we have that, and we have the honor vet, and then we have a return of favor, which we started here in this county, where any veteran of any war can come in with their DD Form 214. They get a photograph picture, and we have a lot of businesses in the area, from 74 State to law offices, to investment banks, to clothing stores, ice cream places, great restaurants that you go and show there. They'll give you anywhere from 5 to 20% off every day of the week. Which is a nice saying thank you for serving our country.
I will tell you, I know quite a few World War II veterans in our area, in our county, let alone the 7 counties that we cover. And that's great, because some of those will be coming in for photos. I get out with some 90-year-olds, and I take them what I call on the road, and I'll be looking into these programs.
Well, I say to the viewers, there's a lot of veterans out there that love their discounts. So, some people that join on say, wow, I can't believe the business I've gotten. And I just want to do it to say thank you, but I can't believe the new clientele that's coming in. Upstate New York, compared to if you go down to the South, you're down in Georgia, South Carolina, you have your military ID card that you're retired. You walk into attractions for free, from just Busch Gardens, from any type of adventure park that you go to. You show them your ID card, they let you in for free, and we don't do enough up here. It's kind of a shame that you have to sit there, and again, they didn't do it to get free admissions. They didn't do it to get the pat on the back, but it's nice just to say, say, thank you. My business is doing well, and I'm enjoying my freedom every day because of the sacrifice that men and women did for this country.
I always say to the veterans, you deserve a lot. You deserve, even though we give them one day that is a phenomenal memory. And I'll tell you what I've recently sat down and thought of. These guys have lived some 32,000 days. We give them one day that's very memorable right now, but they deserve more than one day. As memorable as that is, and they won't forget it, and we're proud to do it for them, I believe we at Patriot Flight should be doing even more. I really subscribe to all the things that you say, and we're on the same boat.
I think your plaque says it all,
Thank
and
you.
I think it's nice that you give this to the veterans when they're done. And it's a long day. I have the pleasure of coming and seeing everyone off, and that's usually at 6:30 in the morning, at 7, and you guys are getting home at 11. And I remember seeing this 90-year-old get off the bus. He was 93, and he's dancing, and he's having a great time. He goes, "Where's all the women?" And but what a great attitude he had. And that's what you get. And they love the fact that they're going down there. And it's not, for somebody, 3 times younger than them would be, tired at the end of the day. And they just go all day. And Frank, what your organization does, the Patriot Guard, is just phenomenal.
The Patriot Flight, I want to say, has brought me in touch with even more World War II veterans. I do some other things for special veterans of the Normandy invasion. I've been doing that for 4 years. I always say that there's more than enough history to go around. And I think that all these veterans deserve more. What was really encouraging when we said we are taking the Korean War veterans, it was known as the Forgotten War. The Forgotten War doesn't mean the men will be forgotten. We're going to work our way up to Vietnam, and that's our goal, to be around. After Vietnam, you got to take over. You're the younger group. I say currently that a person your age is going to see in your lifetime and hear about the last World War II veteran, the last Korean War veteran, and the last Vietnam veteran. And that is something, because I met a couple 100-year-old veterans. And I really want to emphasize, I really do, that I agree with the 80% that you say the government doesn't do enough. Because I found younger group to say, what is D-Day? Do you know, first of all, what is it? And they don't know. What does it mean? When is it? They don't know. And yet I take that's a goal we have to do. We have to educate. And the World War II veterans did something, and I've recognized, they've got character. Something that is being lost around us. You're in the minority if you got great character.
You are, and I always say to veterans, especially World War II veterans, they can go away for a year. They were going for 2, 3, 4 years, some cases 5, fighting for this country, and they could have come home and they could have done nothing. And rightfully so, they earn that. They earn to come back and say, you know what, I just want to sit and live out my life quietly. But they built this nation, and that's what made them the greatest generation. And the problem, and I find with veterans is, my brother will go with me every now and then, and my son does too, when I do this reintegration with the Yellow Ribbon Program. And I had a veteran that was having a hard time, and I brought him out to dinner, and we were talking, and my brother goes, I never heard you say a story like that before. I didn't know that. And I go, because veterans only talk to veterans, and there's a lot of things they just don't like to talk about, and that's the problem with World War II, that there's so much history there, there's so much lessons that we can learn there, and we need to grab that now before it's too late. And there's been different organizations that are trying to tap into that generation to get them to speak, because even when someone dies, I doing the honor event, and they're like, we talk about their history and their campaigns and their medals, and the kids look up, the grandkids go, and even the kids, I didn't know my father went through that. I didn't know what that medal meant. And that's the difference, because they're not looking for the pat on the back, and that's why I say that. I go, but we need to give them that pat on the back now, and we need to thank them, and we need to recognize them while they're living the great things that they have accomplished, the men and the women of this country.
We're on the same path. Deep in my heart, I will say to you that one of the things I think this plaque does says an awful lot in 3 words. We give this to the veterans, as Dan says. It's a trip of memories, victories, and peace. 3 words: memories, victories, and peace. And we do have to thank them for the victories.
But
they saved the world.
I will say
kids.
I will say this: things aren't free. So the Patriot Guard does need your donations. We do need your help because, the veterans go for free. The Guardians have to pay their own way. It takes money to get a message out there, and this is a great program. And I don't know if you have a website, Frank.
Okay, let me explain. One of the things that we have a flight coming up on September 20th. We did something back in May where we took 100 people on the flight. 50 of them were World War II and Korean, 42 World War II, 8 Korean.
Nice.
The Korean, all of them, the adrenaline flows. You're absolutely right. Patriot Flight looks for donations, fundraising, anything that we can do. I'm securing grant writers. We're ready to do anything to find money. The veterans do go for free. Good estimate, a nice round number, is roughly, to run the operation, $500 a veteran. The Guardians pay their own way. So I say to you that as people donate money to give to Guardians, we still got to get the $500 roughly for the veterans. The rules and regulations are pretty cut and dry. The World War II veterans, or any veteran that wants to come, we encourage them to come with family. When I run into a veteran and they're hesitant, I say to them, go speak to your children or grandchildren. You're not going to listen to me, you hardly know me, but go speak to your children and grandchildren. I found out this past Christmas, you know my son Mike.
Yeah.
My son Mike sat at the Christmas table with my wife there, started talking about my wife's father, and started saying, he was out in California driving generals around. My wife was surprised. This past Christmas. And my wife says to Michael, he used to tell me a lot of things. And so I really say that where this comes from is the heart of their family. We'll provide guardians, and let me say to you, the Korean War guys, a lot of them say, I don't need a guardian. They need a guardian because they're all over the place. We got to control them. It's not really a health issue, it's really a control issue. I will say to you that anything we can do, and yes, I have a great saying. It has to do that something Truman said, that freedom isn't free, but free men and free women got to do everything we can to keep it free here. And in this day and age, as I talk to these veterans, it's a different world for them. If you really think about their life, which is very fascinating, not the 4 years everybody says is the greatest generation. When you realize they were born in the roaring 20s, and seeing what their children went through when they came back from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Their children came back from Vietnam. They didn't expect much. Some of them I talked to, we come back, we got our DD-214, and I've got a couple of them, they're in black, the white,
Oh, yeah.
and off they go, back to the farms and the factories and the railroads, and they slowly built a country. They built a family. That was priorities. Some of the things that I'm not a veteran, even some of the things they've shared with me hit the heart. I will say that they are truly, truly ones that we've got to emulate, not even forget. We got to emulate them.
Here's another factor to look at is you look at VFW posts, and you were talking about Vietnam veterans. VFW posts were starting to close. There was that gap. There was the Vietnam veterans themselves are now dying off, and they're looking at the fact that they have to pass the colors of their organizations to another generation to keep their memories going. We got the Vietnam Memorial that's being dedicated also on the 20th of September at 11 o'clock. A bunch of Vietnam veterans in the Capital District really came together to make this happen. And that's what I said to people. I go, really pay attention, because now these posts are up, they're organized again, because it is a new generation. 13 years of war has produced a lot of veterans with a lot of issues that we need to work with. But what your Patriot Guard does, and I say to the viewers, whether you donate 50 cents, $1, or show up on September 20th, come in and come to the airport and just show your support for these veterans that served, that means a lot too. And look, we live busy lives, but to give up one Saturday morning to get up extra early and come out and cheer these veterans on says a lot to them.
We put on a send-off on September 20th that in and of itself, this time, due to the flight, we take Southwest. We can't control Southwest. And we thank that Southwest, because they're the only ones that have a direct flight. Happens to be, we're going to start at 6 o'clock in the morning. You were at the one on May 10th. Patriot Flight puts on a send-off that is memorable in itself. You will get to see the veterans. We then proceed over to the airport, and we have a parade. And I've received from many veterans and other people that they say, you do something different. Well, sometimes that's the biggest thing to get people's attention, is to do something different and out of the ordinary. And maybe it's what it was like. I had two brothers who were in Vietnam. I myself am not a veteran. My buddy, I still see and talk to him almost every day, is a World War II veteran, 89 years old. Both my brother and my buddy Angelo belong to the 9th Infantry Division. So you know about infantry divisions.
Yeah.
They were out in front, and they shared each other, and the camaraderie that comes out when veterans get together. Can you imagine a busload of them going from Baltimore to the memorials, and then a plane flight going where they sit there and see other people? The adrenaline does something to a 96-year-old. I've got a 96-year-old I called last week. He had called me earlier about going to lunch. He lives right here in Albany. There are many Albany people out there in the 7 counties we cover that will come forward and talk to us. And I say, we're concentrating on World War II and Korea. The day is going to come, and I'd love for it to happen, when we have a flight where Korea, World War II, and Vietnam go on the same flight. The camaraderie that comes through, and I myself sit back and I really recognize that when veterans get together, I just sit back and watch and listen. I don't engage. Unless it becomes a lull in the story, then I'll interject stuff. I love it when I can get a 95-year-old to smile and laugh. And maybe I'm blessed that way.
It's nice. It's, one of the things I do say to the veterans that are watching this show today, to get involved with Patriot Guard, but also look at the benefits that are out there. At the end of World War II, 50% of the colleges across this great nation were filled with veterans. They took advantage of their GI Bill. They took advantage of housing for veterans. This new generation has not tapped their GI Bill. They have not tapped their benefits to really to integrate back, to go to school, take advantage of all the trades or things that they can learn. They need to take the time, go visit their Veterans Bureau, see what they're entitled to, visit the state Veterans Office. There's so many programs and great things out there. Tom DiNapoli offers $4 million a year to veterans to expand their companies. I mean, that's something, I mean, there's money out there, there's programs out there, and not just to go back to get education or a trade. Say if you need help, there's different organizations there that will help you, and especially if you have a disability, we can continue to fight to make sure that you're getting all the services that you deserve, but most importantly, getting the money that you deserve to go with the services.
I'm finding out in my short period of working here with Patriot Flight is that there are a lot of organizations out there. I am trying to actually tap into them myself. I also advocate, and we had, I believe it was 3 teachers on our flight on May 10th. I advocate that because I want the character to be built. They are the ones that are going to teach the youth. They happened to be 2 elementary schools. They put together very nice, what we call mail call. Some of them are classics. They'll eventually be on our website. We do have a website, patriotflight.com.
Nice.
Phone number Beltrone Center has been fantastic with us, has offered us a computer room, boardroom meeting. Just last night we had a reunion, something we do, because as I said before, we don't give them one day. Just last night we had a reunion of 60 people showed up. Almost half of them were the veterans who went on the May 10th flight. Was to have a reunion, to bring them out and say, here's another memory. We showed about a 20-minute video of all with music, of the photos. Our goal is to bring them down there and not forget them. And with the forgotten war and the forgotten people on the horizon, and I lived through the Vietnam era. My 2 brothers went off to war, and I almost was a CB, but you know who kept me out of the service? Was a World War II veteran on a destroyer. He kept telling me to go to college. I wanted to be a CB. I was only 18 years old and using a shovel. He turned around and said, well, if you're so smart, go to college. You want to learn something. I took his advice, and I know where his son lives, and I'm dying to go meet him. I will say to you, the services that are out there, it's part of our mission is to get out there and find the veterans and really let them know that if you forget the history, You're not going to go anyplace.
Well, you know, I mean, history's here, and one of the issues with this new war, there's 1,800 homeless veterans in the Capital District. Think about that, living on our streets. There's 75,000 homeless veterans in this nation. That's like taking the population of the town of Colonie, and everyone wakes up tomorrow morning and they have no place to live. You know, that's what you're looking at. And these are issues that are here, not to only honor veterans, but to give them the support to get back into society, to reintegrate, to really, you know, live a productive life, whatever way they want to live it, but to say, hey, thank you for your service, but now we're going to help you. We're going to help you through your difficult times. We're going to help you adjust back to society, and we're going to get you back out there. And you know, the sad part with this war that's been going on lately is that the suicide rate for the first time has surpassed the combat deaths of the war, and it's shameful, you know. But this is a reality that we need to adjust. This is a brand of soldiers that we need to help, and help them be the person they can be, but give them the support and support like your organizations, because we do focus on World War II vets. But like you said, you want to move it up to Vietnam, and eventually it will be at my generation saying, hey, we want to do an honor flight down to D.C. So I do applaud everything that you're doing with the Patriot Guard.
Patriot Flight.
Patriot Flight. I'm sorry.
I'm
thinking Guard, National Guard.
Yeah,
that's all right.
National Guard, Patriot Guard, close. You know, but the Dan and I go way back. I don't want to go back too far, but we go way back. And I will say to you that what you're doing, we'd love to compliment. Everybody thinks Patriot Flight, oh, an honor flight, one day up in the air, grab another group of veterans. We got a saying, a slogan we're using, that we're a community of veterans and patriots. Think about that. And what I want to do is expand that, to really give the recognition to the vets that we're dealing with, but also the camaraderie that I see when those veterans get together with you, get together with the people that are fighting currently. I mean, what the first Iraqi war was, over 20 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's 1991, you can go back that far. And
tell you the truth, when I see a World War II veteran talking to an Iraqi veteran or a current veteran, I just say, great, and here, and they get going. There's something among. And I have to say that in the military, they have their divisions. I've got a Marine friend I'm working with his memoirs. Well, he's a Marine. I do a lot of stuff with the Normandy guys. That was the Army. And, you know, within their own ranks, I really have to say that it's great, but I'm getting him the deal. I take him places, and I've taken places with an Army guy who was at Normandy, and a Navy guy who was at the Normandy, and a Marine. That in and of itself is an experience. Grab a young Marine and talk to that guy who was at Iwo Jima. He fought in Saipan and Iwo Jima. It's something to watch. And then when you bring the current one, to sit there and talk with them. You know, somebody who's 22, 24 years old. There was a saying, I don't have it correct, but it came from Winston Churchill. Is that a nation that forgets their history doesn't have a future.
You are correct on that, and you know, it makes things are challenging. You know, I mean, look, we're coming out of this Great Recession, nothing like the 1920s, but we're coming out of it. Things are different, but people do have time to donate, to go to Patriot Flight, to sit there and see the great organization that you have and what you're doing for World War II veterans. And you're right, everyone just sees September 20th. They don't see the build-up prior to September 20th, the organization that goes behind it, raising the funds, coordinating, to really coordinate all them people to go down to D.C. for one day and get through everything that you're seeing. It makes it difficult. But I will say to you, to the people watching this too, we have great memorials down at the Empire State Plaza. We have a beautiful World War II memorial, Korean, Vietnam. Go check it out, and then if you have a loved one, get into your organization and get them on that Patriot Flight, and then really go see, because I've went and visited the World War II memorial in D.C. and it just blows you away. And I took every state's representative. I took a picture of the New York State monument that was there, and it's incredible to walk through that, and then walk through the wall for Vietnam soldiers. If that doesn't move you, I don't know what will.
Well, I've had veterans say to me, I've already been down there a couple times, and I said to them, but did you go on a bus and a plane with a whole bunch of your comrades? People that you can share the stories with. You may find somebody who was on the same ship with you or in the same division. You don't know. Not necessarily even amongst us when you get down there, because there's other buses that come, or planes that come from throughout the country, and I've gone twice. And I will say to you that in and of itself brings so many people together. It is such unity and such a recognition. To me, it's an honor that well past that they deserve, and they deserve it in every single way. I will say that Patriot Flight will be around to do what it should be doing, but also to do everything to work in conjunction with the kinds of things that you're promoting and is out there for the young vets. I really believe that these people have a lot to offer, and just to get them to understand. I found out from a World War II vet of the money that's available for an assisted living. He never knew this, and again, he never knew it, that there's money. He thought it was for combat vets. I don't know the details, but that there's money out there to cover assisted living for them. And when he told me that, and he goes, he made it sound like it's strictly for World War II vets. I don't know that. I will say to you that in my association with all these vets, there's so many programs out there. However, there's only so much time I have.
Well, you have to have someone navigate the waters for you.
Right.
And that's why I say to your viewers, go to the Veterans Bureau in your county. If it's Albany County, come to ours. It's at 162 Washington Avenue. Contact us. You can do the website, or you can call, or you can just pop in. You know, you got the State Veterans Office. These are programs that you need to walk into, as well as the VA hospital. Say, what am I entitled to? You know, and I hate to say it that way, but it's the reality. What am I entitled to? What services can I render? You know, it might be prescription drugs. Right. It might be something that, you know, when you're on active duty, that you develop something and now your insurance is sky high and you can't afford it. You probably can get it free from the VA hospital. Right. You know, these are little things like that when you know that helps you in the long run. You know, it might only be $20 a month, but it's an extra $20 in your pocket. You know. So I encourage everyone to really, you have to, you know, but again, it shows you that these veterans didn't do it for the benefits. They didn't do it for the pat on the back. They're not coming back and saying, what am I entitled to? You know, and most of the times when you see a homeless veteran on the street, I go up and I'll talk to them. They're not really a true homeless veteran. I'm like, where'd you serve? You know, oh, what regiment? Where, you know, oh, where's that located? No, and someone will say, oh, they're in Fort Knox, Kentucky. No, they're not. They're in Georgia. You know, most of your veterans won't ask for help. You know, we had a Marine veteran living in the parking lot in Schenectady, at Schenectady Community College, going to college, tapped his GI Bill, but didn't know how to get off the street. And we helped them, you know. And there's stories like that these veterans truly don't want to say, hey, I'm a veteran and I want this. They're ashamed, you know, for whatever reason. They fell on hard times, you know, but this is a time for us to step up and help them. But it's also time to recognize the greatest generation, our World War II veterans, that gave us the freedom. And you're right, freedom isn't free. People take it for granted. No one wants to go to war. No one wants to die. You know, but there's people that will stand up and fight for what they believe in this country. And, you know, that's when I see all these people protesting. I'm like, you wouldn't be protesting anywhere else in this world what you believe in, you know. But we enjoy these freedoms to live next to your neighbor, to agree to disagree with your neighbor, whatever party affiliation they are, whatever religion they are, and live in peace, but still come out and protest and say, well, this is how I feel. It's that way because a veteran laid their life on the line to give us these freedoms.
I will say to you, in the last part of this saying, a trip of memories, victories, and peace, and I know combat veterans, I've come across them, they have opened up to me. And I will say one of the most peaceful people are the warriors. The people who fight in the wars are sometimes, most of the times I run into, the most peaceful people there are. And they have lived a humble life. A 90-year-old friend of mine, their door is open to me. You know what he said? At 90 years old, it's really nice to find out that people still are thinking of us. Still thinking of us. I mean, and I think this person's going to make it maybe to 95 and 100. I mean, I looked at him when he was a kid with the muscles in the stomach, and he is in pretty good shape. I will say to you, I met a 100-year-old veteran, no medication. To me, it's amazing, some of the people you'll run into. And I want to say that bridging that from World War II right up till the current reservist. It is heartwarming when they get together.
It's heartwarming, and they are a tough breed. I will tell you that. I did an EMS call on a gentleman at the airport that tripped. He was like 80 years old. He cut his arm up good on the escalator, and he was going to a reunion. And we're like, you have to go to the hospital. And his shirt's all blood, and he goes, no way, nothing's stopping me. We patch him up. He goes into the gift shop, buys a new shirt, puts it on, and we're like, yeah, but his arm was messed up. And he goes, listen, Sonny, I made it home. I'm not missing this reunion if it kills me. And he got on that plane and he went to the reunion. He goes, I'll take care of it when I get home. I mean, it's just like you said, they don't look for the pats on the back. I mean, they've lived a quiet life, and they are the most peaceful people. They come home and yes, you have issues. You're a different person. Even people say to me, well, you're not the same. Of course you're not the same. You're in war. You're in combat. You don't come back the same person, but you do what you do to come home to your loved one. And one of the things I say to your viewers too, even with the new, with these soldiers now, I put my uniform on. My kids are numb. They're like, Dad, how long? It's not when you're coming back. How long are you going to be gone? And it's a sad reality in my house that my kids are just used to me disappearing and going to serve my country, but coming home quietly from different things. That's been the norm their whole life, because the military's been a part of my life. It's been a family of taking care of one another. And that's the same thing with Patriot Flight. It's about taking care of people and recognizing what they've done and really showcasing that era of a World War II veteran and this great country in a beautiful memorial. You should videotape one of your trips and really show people what it's like to get on a plane full of veterans, because they are characters. When I get together with reunions, and but it's fun. You hear stories and you talk, and and like you said, you're fortunate enough to have veterans open up to you. And that's not the story. That doesn't happen. We always tell people when we reintegrate them back, we're like, look, when you're having that cookout, be careful when you're talking, because your son, daughter, a little kid might be listening to you, and some of the wives get mad because they're like, well, he never shared that story or she never shared that story with me, but these are things you should be aware of, and thank goodness for your organization. I will
Just conclude by saying that the next opportunity to see the veterans is September 20th at CBA at 6 in the morning. That in and of itself is such a memory. We could go on for quite a while, Dan, and to be continued, I hope.
But what's your website? www.patriotflight?
Patriotflight.com. My email address, and I get a lot of emails, is FOM service. Find our military service at AOL.com.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Glad you came. Literally to be continued.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.